When I blew the whistle back in 2001 during the George W. Bush administration, I had been an ethics advisor who advised basically that interrogating a detainee who had a lawyer without reading him his Miranda rights and torturing him would be unethical. I thought that seemed like a fairly obvious proposition. But evidence of my advice ended up disappearing from the file and was withheld from the court that eventually heard the criminal case against John Walker Lind. And I ended up blowing the whistle to the media, and the case collapsed soon after that. But when I blew the whistle, that unleashed the full force of the entire executive branch. I was put under criminal investigation, though I was never told for what. I was referred to the state licensing agencies for attorneys. And for good measure, I was put on the no-fly list as a threat to aviation security. I was also 7 months pregnant at the time, so you could see how dangerous I looked. So I thought that ordeal I went through, I thought was so horrible, I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to representing whistleblowers. So flash forward, when I'm working at the Government Accountability Project and handling national security and human rights cases. By the way, national security whistleblowers in the United States and those in the intelligence agencies have the least protection. In fact, they have none. If you're a corporate whistleblower, you have much more protection than someone like Edward Snowden. So anyway, the bread and butter of the kinds of questions and clients I dealt with usually were people who had disclosed fraud, waste, abuse, illegality, and dangers to public health and safety, and were being retaliated against. And the retaliation took many different imaginative forms. Sometimes people were demoted. One guy was stuck in the basement stacking styrofoam cups. Some person had their security clearance pulled. At worst, maybe someone got fired. So it was with great alarm when I read about someone named Thomas Drake, who apparently went through every single proper internal channel to blow the whistle on the National Security Agency, NSA. And not only was he being prosecuted, but he was being prosecuted under the Espionage Act, which is what Dan had been prosecuted under. It had been some 40 years with relative calm of not using Espionage Act to prosecute people for allegedly mishandling allegedly classified information. I was hoping that Tom's case was a strange one-off, but it was actually the centerpiece case for what has become President Obama, who I voted for his war on whistleblowers. And now we are up to 9 different whistleblowers, all of whom are from the national security and intelligence agencies, who are either being investigated, charged, or prosecuted under the Espionage Act. The problem with that is that, like one of my other clients, Edward Snowden, who everyone wants to come back and face the music is not fair. The Espionage Act is a 100-year-old law that is meant to go after spies, not whistleblowers. It does not allow you to mount a defense. So you would get a jury trial, but you would not be able to talk about your motive in blowing the whistle. It doesn't matter if you were selling secrets to our enemy for profit, or if you were taking information that should have been in the public and giving it back to the public so they know what their government is doing. So this has been a very pernicious tool that has been used as a bludgeon to coerce people into plea agreements and sentences that are far lengthier than anything that people who are powerful or politically connected, like General Petraeus, who revealed a much greater volume of classified information, classified at a much higher level, to his mistress for self-aggrandizement. And Leon Panetta, who revealed undercover identities to make a Hollywood movie, Zero Dark 30. Here you have whistleblowers who are blowing the whistle because it's in the public interest to do so. They're trying to do a public service. And meanwhile, people with power, especially in government, they blow the whistle regularly. They leak regularly with impunity. And once in a while, maybe they get a slap on the wrist, like in the case of General Petraeus. But while Petraeus got a cakewalk, another whistleblower, Jeffrey Sterling, is going to be doing the perp walk, having to go to jail for a conviction on purely circumstantial evidence. So this war on whistleblowers has an incredibly chilling effect, and I believe in the grand scheme of things that it is really a backdoor war on journalists. And I believe even further, it's a way of creating an official secrets act, which our country has been able to live without for more than 200 years. So this is very pernicious, and people talk about amending the Espionage Act. I don't think it needs to be amended. I think it should be ended. It doesn't need to be used to go after leaks. There are some 24 other laws meant for that. But again, this is not me talking. This is the New York Times saying that President Obama has been worse than President Nixon when it comes to issues of free speech and transparency. And it has very real consequences because one of my clients is living in exile. Another client spent 2.5 years in jail. Another client, Thomas Drake, faced 478 months, the rest of his natural life, in jail. I mean, these are serious things. They not only render you unemployed and unemployable, but they destroy families and marriages, and you end up mortgaging your house and emptying your retirement account. And even if you win, even if the charges are dropped, you've still lost so much, and you end up being left bankrupted, blacklisted, and broken. So I appreciate now that people are paying more serious attention to this, and it's becoming more obvious, as we can see in the U.S. Finally, 2 years after Snowden, Congress is finally having a debate. And during that debate, they actually mentioned a number of my clients, and that was very gratifying because we've been doing everything we could over the past 5 years to get Congress to even meet with our clients. So at this point, I think this segues into Tom Drake's case, and so I will pass the microphone off to him, and we'll answer questions later.